Every March, warm weather arrives early and gardeners make the same expensive mistake. Temperatures hit 60, then 70 degrees. The sun feels strong, the soil warms up, and it feels like spring has finally arrived. So gardeners rush outside and start planting. Tomatoes go in the ground. Peppers get transplanted. Beans get direct seeded. And for a week or two, everything looks fine. Plants establish. Growth begins. Leaves perk up in the sunshine. Then a late cold snap hits. Temperatures drop into the 30s, sometimes the 20s, and everything planted early either dies, gets damaged, or stalls so severely that it never truly recovers. Weeks of growth are lost. Money spent on transplants disappears, and the psychological momentum of a strong start collapses overnight. This happens every single year because warm spells in March feel like permission to plant. They're not. They're a trap. And the gardeners who fall for it pay for it all season long. Today, we're breaking down why March warm spells are so deceptive, what actually happens to plants when cold returns, how to know when it's truly safe to plant, and what you should be doing instead. Because March warmth is not spring, it's volatility. And if you understand that, you stop reacting and start planting. When temperatures spike in March, everything around you says it's time to plant. The air feels warm. The soil isn't frozen. Weeds start sprouting. Birds are active. After a long winter, that first warm week feels like a green light. But warm daytime temperatures are not stable growing conditions. Spring doesn't arrive because of one warm week. Spring arrives when nighttime temperatures stay consistently above certain thresholds, and when the risk of hard freezes is behind you. March is unstable by nature. Warm air masses move north from the south. Then cold air drops back down. This back-and-forth pattern is normal in late winter and early spring, but it doesn't feel normal when you're standing in 70-degree sunshine. It feels like opportunity, and that emotional reaction is what gets gardeners into trouble. When you plant warm season crops during a warm spell, those plants begin actively growing. Roots expand, leaves fill with water, cells divide rapidly. That active growth makes them vulnerable. Then temperatures drop. If it's a light frost, some plants survive with minor damage. If it's a hard freeze, water inside plant cells freezes and expands. Cell walls rupture. When temperatures rise, those cells can't hold water. Leaves collapse. Stems blacken. Growth points die. Even if the plant survives, cold shock can stall it for weeks. Tomatoes exposed to temperatures below 35 degrees often survive but never fully thrive. Peppers slow dramatically below 40 degrees. Beans, squash, cucumbers, melons, and basil cannot tolerate frost at all. Planting early doesn't create a head start. It creates stress. And stressed plants don't outperform healthy ones. They fall behind. Now let's talk about cost. If you plant 12 tomato transplants at $5 each, that's $60. If a freeze wipes out half, you've lost $30 instantly. But the bigger loss is time. If you plant 3 weeks early and damage the plants, you've lost 3 weeks of real growth. The gardener who waited and planted at the correct time will often harvest earlier than the gardener who rushed. Impatience feels productive, but it compounds losses, especially in shorter growing seasons where 3 weeks in spring can determine your entire harvest window. So how do you know when it's actually safe? Not by daytime highs, by nighttime lows and frost dates. Every region has an average last frost date based on historical weather data. For Zone 5, it's often early to mid-May. Zone 7 is typically mid to late April. Zone 9 may be late February to early March. Your specific microclimate matters, but frost dates give you a baseline. Warm season crops should not go in the ground before your last frost date unless you're prepared to protect them every night. And protection means real protection. Row covers, cloches, moving containers indoors. If you're not willing to do that consistently, waiting is safer. Cold hardy crops are different. Lettuce, spinach, peas, kale, onions, radishes, and brassicas tolerate frost. They actually prefer cool soil. March is perfect for them. But tomatoes and peppers need stable nighttime temperatures above 50 degrees and warm soil. Warm days don't override cold nights. So what should you be doing during a March warm spell? Preparing. Use warm days to prep beds. Pull winter weeds. Add compost. Loosen compacted soil. Repair structures. Start hardening off seedlings if you've grown them indoors. Bring them outside during the day above 50 degrees. Bring them in at night. Gradually increase exposure over 2 weeks. Plant cold, hardy crops. Lay mulch in empty beds. Organize tools and supplies. March is preparation season, not planting season for warm crops. The reason gardeners fall for this trap is because they react to weather instead of patterns. Weather is emotional. Pattern is strategic. Warm spells feel like opportunity. But gardening isn't about reacting to every warm afternoon. It's about aligning actions with stable conditions. Planting too early is like lighting a fire with damp wood. It might work briefly, but when conditions shift, it collapses. The most successful gardeners resist the urge to rush. They wait, they prepare, and when conditions stabilize, they plant with confidence. Patience in March creates momentum in April. Impatience in March creates setbacks that linger all season. Here's something important. March warm spells are not unusual. They are predictable. Look at historical data across most U.S. zones, and you'll see the same cycle repeating. Warm spike. Cold correction. Another warm spike. Final stabilization later in spring. This instability is structural. It happens every year, which means this trap will happen again next year. And the year after that, the gardeners who struggle are reacting to daily weather. The gardeners who succeed are responding to seasonal patterns. There's a difference. Weather is noise. Pattern is strategy. If you treat every warm week as a planting signal, you'll keep resetting your progress. If you treat March as a volatility window, you protect your season. Stop asking, is it warm today? Start asking, is the pattern stable yet? That shift protects your time, money, and harvest. If you've already planted and a freeze is forecast, act quickly. Cover plants before sunset with row cover, sheets, or blankets. Moist soil holds heat better than dry soil, so water in the afternoon before a freeze. Use cloches or cut plastic jugs for individual plants. Remove covers in the morning once temperatures rise. But the best strategy is avoiding emergency protection in the first place, which means waiting. This week, check your last frost date. Check the 2-week nighttime forecast. If nights dip below 40 degrees, hold off on warm season crops. Plant cold, hardy vegetables. Prepare beds. Harden off seedlings. Treat March warmth as rehearsal, not opening night. Because gardeners who resist the March trap don't just avoid damage, they build momentum. And momentum in spring compounds into harvest in summer. Don't let one warm week cost you a month. Wait for stability. Plant with confidence. And when it's truly time, you won't be guessing. You'll know.